Hello and welcome to Elite Mind Initiative channel. In today's video, I will be discussing about a question one of the viewers out there again asked me. But before I do that, please subscribe to this very channel, like, comment, and share on our videos. It is your support will make us go far. Now, back to the business of the day. One of my subscribers out there asked the question after I must have made a video on Western curriculum of education in Africa. In that very particular video, I said that Western curriculum of education in Africa led to introduction of poverty, and it's because it has no direct practical application to productivity. And that is the question of one of my viewers out there. He said he did not understand what I meant by that it has no direct practical application to productivity. I made him to understand that I will answer his question, and I will like the question to come via the channel, because I know that people out there may be asking the same question he asked. Then I want everyone to use this very medium and listen to us. Now, don't forget that when we talk about education as a transformative tool, the implication is that we are believing that education should lead to solving of human problem. That is to say, education is something that provides solution to human problem. In other words, when education do not solve human problem, then it has no direct practical application to productivity. Look at this. If at the end of the day, a country practices a kind of education that has no functional knowledge, that is to say, their education is all about certification, it's all about read and get your certificate and go, it's all about more of memory education or memory knowledge. Such kind of education will not be functional to the society. It will not have any direct practical application to productivity, because of the fact that it is not being designed to solve human problem. It is when education is being designed to solve human problem, we will say that education or a curriculum of education has direct practical application to productivity. And that is why we say what we say, because the youth of Africa today have started to read. We are researching, and we have come to realize the problems facing us and how we entered into those problems. These are one of the ways. Now, we don't just come out and try to talk about something. No. It's from a good comparative critical analysis, we make our claim. In other words, education of a country should have a functional knowledge. It should be a kind of education that we have direct practical application to productivity. In other words, any education that doesn't have such will increase poverty, will increase unemployment, will widen dependency ratio. And this is the problem we are facing in Africa today. And thanks to God that most of our youth today, they have woken up. Men are reading, men are researching. Then we are discovering where our problem is coming from and how we entered into such problem. And we are now on awareness campaign that the whole world might listen to us and understand how we get there. Now, I did believe the answer is very clear. Not all education has a functional knowledge. Any education based on memory knowledge, based on memory education, definitely cannot and they will not solve the problems of the society. And as you can see, the society has a lot of problems, and we need to solve all these problems. And how do we do them? Is through education. And that is why we are calling the restructure of African curriculum of education, so that at the end of the day, we will have an education that we have direct practical application to productivity, an education that we have a functional knowledge, an education that we utilize the dexterities that are into human resource endowment. That is to say that the manpower we have here in Africa is underutilized. And one of the problems of all this is because of the system of education we are into. But we are meant to know all this with the help of books written by a lot of authors like Walter Rodney, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa, and so many of them are there. So by the time you must have finished reading all this, you will now understand how we get there. Think about this and see you in our next video.